Now I want to turn now to the issue of internet freedom and some of the work that state's been doing to help activists around the world circumvent the firewalls that authoritarian governments have been putting up. Now, some of the critiques of this activity have been saying, well, it's an enormous cost to truly free the internet, that the tools that are being developed can never be 100% safe for activists. I'm wondering what your response is to those sorts of critiques.
Sure. So first I would say that the development of these tools is while sure it helps activists, but more importantly it helps everyday citizens. You know, there are 7 billion people on planet Earth. We want to be able to help as many of those citizens be able to exercise their universal rights as possible. So this is not narrow cast at political activists, but rather is focused as broadly as possible. Secondly, in terms of whether it will ever be 100% effective, it won't. There are very few programs that are 100% effective 100% of the time, especially when you get into some of the kinds of cat and mouse games which we end up in with countries like Iran. And so I think, and then thirdly and lastly, as to the size of the problem and our relatively small investment within it, you know, $70 million juxtaposed with a problem where literally billions of people live with a censored internet, I would say that that relatively small amount of money has made a fairly substantial impact. So I think in this case, a little bit of money can go a long way.
Now, some of the countries where state has been working in the area of internet freedom, like Vietnam or Bahrain, are more commonly regarded or associated with being US partners. I'm just wondering what kind of response you've had from those sorts of countries where state's been carrying out internet freedom activity.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to not be a hypocrite. You know, you have to have one internet freedom policy. You can't have one internet freedom policy for Saudi Arabia and a different one for Iran. If these programs are going to have any integrity, then our internet freedom agenda has to apply evenly across all 194 countries that aren't the United States. And what that oftentimes means is that there are long-standing partners of the United States who have bad internet freedom agendas. And if we have what is a legitimately good relationship, then we can raise those issues respectfully but forcefully and hopefully make some progress on it. But you know, I think that having a partnership with a country doesn't mean that you just hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Where there are honest disagreements, you've got to be able to broach those disagreements. And you know, I was in Bahrain myself in the spring of 2010, and I raised this directly with certain of the Al Khalifas myself. And so, yes, we can work productively with these countries, but we can also lean into them a little bit on an internet freedom agenda.
Now, turning to the Arab Spring, it suggests that these new tools can at least play a facilitating role in quite dramatic change. But we're at a point still where most of the world's population is not yet online. As we start to see a greater proportion of the world's population starting to move online, what's your prediction for how this is going to affect global stability?
So I think that as citizens become more connected, they become more empowered. And to be very blunt about it, that empowerment oftentimes comes, almost in fact always comes, at the expense of hierarchies, including, oh by the way, the nation-state governments. And as the power of hierarchies, including government, is degraded, there's a tension between citizens and networks of citizens and the old powerful hierarchies. So as citizens become more empowered, as they become more connected, I think that there will be more disruption. I think that the disruption will be good, and I think it will be bad, but it's inevitable. And so I think that as citizens go from positions of passivity, of being relatively disempowered, to being connected and engaged, I think it's going to shake the stability of an increasing number of governments, and it's going to degrade the power of a great many hierarchies.